I kind of want to know how this continues first. The wind was getting stronger when I left the detention center. Everyone in the street was walking very fast, probably anxious to get home. I held on tightly to a piece of paper in my hand so that it wouldn't get blown away. Earlier I had written down a short note in a hurry. Blue Lady Jegal Wan Yeom. That was the message Officer Ji Yeon had left me. I hadn't expected that she would be the one that was being detained in place of Lieutenant Kang. Maybe transfiguration was not as complicated as I'd thought. Then again, where was Lieutenant Kang? I was hoping to see him. That plan hadn't worked either. And now this note was the only lead I had. I had to go to Blue Lady and find this person named Jegal Wan Yeom. Blue Lady was an infamous gay bar in Busan. For police and gangs in particular, it was infamous because it was an establishment that belonged to the Bungmun gang. I sat down at the bar and ordered a glass of orange juice. I checked my surroundings. Quite a few people seemed to be giving me strange looks, and they were whispering something under their breath. I didn't quite fit in at a place like this. Whatever, I had real business to worry about. Speaking of business, who was this Jegal Wan Yeom? Was he a frequent customer? Or the owner of the place? I waved the bartender over, hoping to ask him about this name. But before I opened my mouth, I suddenly felt a heavy blow to my head and my face slammed into the bar. After who knows how long, I heard some slapping noises and I felt pain in my face. I finally opened my eyes. Judging from the lights outside the window, I must be on the second floor of the bar. I could see office desks, couches, folding chairs, tables and pool tables in the room. There was even a coconut tree? I tried to sit up, but I realized that my left hand had been cuffed to a desk leg. Some young men surrounded me at the wall. They all looked like they were in a gang. One of them had a full head of curly hair and he was crouched next to me. He kept slapping me in the face with what felt like a card. I struggled to move my face away before I saw that he was holding my police ID. Who knew that a police officer would be hanging out here? If you don't tell us what you're really here for, we're going to think that you're here looking for some fun. His buddies all laughed. This didn't look good. But I didn't want to cause too much trouble. I just needed to get out of this as soon as possible. The curly-haired man kicked me in the stomach. Talk! Do you think that we, the Bungmun gang, are an easier target than the Musun gang? If we want, we guarantee we'll make you feel something. Short break. Alright, now the interruptions should be over. Ecstatic. Dude, that's the wrong word. It should be excruciating. A man nearby with split bangs tried to correct the curly-haired guy, who immediately slapped him on the head instead. The door opened. All of the men who were laughing hysterically took one glance at the door and immediately stood up straight, shouting, "Good evening, sir." A very tall man had just walked into the room. He was wearing a pink flowery shirt and a pair of leafy green beach shorts, and looked incredibly tropical. He quickly noticed what had been going on. "What do you guys have here?" "It's a cop sneaking around the bar. We were just about to question him." The curly-haired guy very formally handed him my police ID. The other guys picked me back up, then slammed me face down onto the desk. The man called "Sir," then caressed my back with one hand. Very fit. Lots of potential. Potential? What potential? Was he talking about joining their business? What kind of sick joke was that? I was someone who had dreamt of defending justice and becoming a real hero. But to keep myself from getting into more trouble, I had to keep it under control. However, even though I could control my anger, I couldn't fully control my body. If he didn't stop soon, I was going to let out a loud fart. I remembered seeing a diagram of a human brain way back when. They would write lots of words on the brain representing what the person was thinking at the time. If someone were to draw a diagram of my brain right now, it would be filled with the word fart. Even worse, it might be running out of space. After giving me another pinch on my butt, the man finally stopped molesting me. "Oh, I didn't know you were here looking for me." I turned around and I saw he was holding the note I had put in my pocket. I finally understood. The "sir" in front of me was Jegal Wan Yeom, the boss of this bar. But I never would have imagined him to be a bona fide gangster and the leader of the Simsu group within the Bungmun gang. Why would Officer Ji-yeon ask me to come and find him? You're Kang Baek-ya's man. What do you want from me? I caught the ID that he had thrown back at me. The ID only said that I was in Unit 4 of the Busan Police Precinct, so he must know about Lieutenant Kang. I still couldn't figure out what their relationship was. Friends? Or foes? Or maybe he was Lieutenant Kang's informant? In any case, since Officer Ji-yeon had asked me to find him, he must be someone who could help. I briefly explained the reason for my visit, and I mentioned that Officer Min-jun had been murdered. Although I withheld most of the details about Lieutenant Kang's situation, I was thinking that I should at least feel him out first. He just chuckled and lit a cigarette. Kid, are you trying to hold something back? You're 10 years too young to play this game with me. Let me put it this way. I'm an information broker. If you want information from me, you need to trade something. It's that simple. Understand? He blew smoke in my face, smiling, and held my left hand steady. I took out the tail that I hid in my right palm, and reached for the pocket on my shirt. I bit my lip and said, Fine, how about this? I handed him my weapon and pulled out a small notepad from my pocket. It had all of the trivial information I had collected during all of my cases since joining the force. Most of the information was about the Musun gang, although there was some about the Bungmun gang too. There was nothing particularly important or classified, otherwise I wouldn't be carrying it on me like this. Since he had mentioned trade, he must mean with something like this then? I supposed I wouldn't be able to buy it with money. He took my notepad, flipped through it quickly and tossed it into the trash can. Then he made a gesture. The men who had been watching us in the room the whole time immediately surrounded me. Then they started to mercilessly beat me up. Jaegal Won-yom stood outside of the circle and gently said, Young man, you're not cut out to be a policeman, and you're definitely not cut out to be Baek-ya's man. If you ever dare show your face on my turf again, you will be dead. After those words, they tossed me out from the second floor window. I fell into the garbage container in the back alley. It hurt so bad that I couldn't move for a while. The night was freezing cold. I was so stupid to make such a careless move. What exactly did he want though? Chang Yong-min. Well, we'll see what he wants. Okay. I don't know. See how this goes. A beam of silver light flashed in the air, and the cigarette in Jaegal Won-yom's mouth was cut in half. My tail had also left a bloody scratch on his face. The people in the gang were all evil. I had to teach them a lesson. Oh god. The men who had been watching by the walls immediately had me surrounded with all kinds of weapons in their hands. I had planned for the worst possible case. If necessary, I would knock every single one of them out. Oh, he's got confidence at least. Jaegal Won-yom waved his hand and stopped his men. Baek-ya has mentioned you to me several times. You're exactly like what he said. What a shame. Brave but stupid. Tell you what, we'll take care of this case. As for you, you should consider staying here and helping us out. I could use someone like you. I felt a sudden spell of dizziness. The smoke he had blown at me earlier was hypnotic. When I woke up, I found myself locked in a small room. Someone brought me meals every day. I recognized his face, and I realized that I was probably still in custody of the Bungmun gang, although I couldn't figure out what their purpose was. Meanwhile, I was really worried about Lieutenant Kang and how the investigation of Officer Min-jun's murder had been going. 2 weeks later, they finally let me out. Jaegal Won-yom told me in person that Lieutenant Kang had fled to another country and he was fine. He even set up a video chat with Lieutenant Kang, showing me that he was indeed safe. In the end, I wasn't able to help Lieutenant Kang at all, neither could anyone on the police force. It was someone in the gang who had saved him. My sense of justice had taken a shock. I became depressed for quite some time. After Lieutenant Kang left, Officer Ji-yeon and I were transferred to Unit 1. Those days without Lieutenant Kang were not only boring, but they also had nothing to do with justice whatsoever. I eventually came to terms with what had happened. Maybe it was out of my curiosity about Jaegal Won-yom, or my gratitude for his help with Lieutenant Kang. but I decided to resign from the police and went back to Blue Lady once again. I became a bartender. Every day I heard all kinds of interesting stories from the customers. To be honest, the bartender fits him much better as a job. Occasionally I would help deal with some of the guests who were causing trouble. One day some customers told me that something major had happened at the Busan police precincts. However, I didn't really care about that place anymore. As long as I have justice in my heart, I could still be a hero. Bad. I mean, that doesn't sound bad to me. That sounds great to me. Alright. I don't know. How about this? A beam of silver light flashed in the air and my left middle finger flew off from my hand. Blood was dripping out of the wound and left some red dots on the floor. I covered my entire left hand with my right one and dropped to the ground, rolling in pain. It's yours. Fuck you. And I fainted. Call a doctor. No, you idiot, not Dr. Chan, Dr. Wang. The one who lives at Gaegyeom-dong. I heard... oh, that was still him. Okay. I heard Jaegal Won-yom yelling at his men and opened my eyes just a little bit to take a peek at what was happening. He threw away the cigarette in his hand and carried me onto a couch. His men were in complete disarray after being shouted at by their boss. I had made the right call. If this man were a true friend of Lieutenant Kang, then he must value loyalty and bravery. If all he had cared about was profit and benefit, then even if he had seen through my performance, I would at most get a beating. Then I could still give him what he had wanted to trade for the information. Nevertheless, this was the best result I could have hoped for. I finally burst out laughing and sat back up on the couch with a hand holding my stomach. Then I stood up as Jaegal Won-yom looked on, stunned, and picked up the severed finger from the ground with my perfectly intact left hand, smiling at him. I bought the fake finger in a small shop on my way here. Not only did they have fake fingers, they were also fake ears, eyes, and everything. The owner had said to me that if he wanted to survive in a gang, these were all necessities, and if I bought the whole set, he could give me a discount. So I did, and I had hidden them all on me. It turned out they were indeed quite valuable. You bastard. Jaegal Won-yom fell into the couch, laughing hysterically. Well, I guess Bekia had pegged you wrong completely. He told me you were just a serious and boring fool. He told his men to make us some tea, and then began to tell me everything he knew about this case. 2 hours later, I drank the last cup of tea and left Blue Lady. I started walking towards Officer Min-jun's home in the cold, biting wind. Okay, sure.
부처님, 나도 좀 도와줘요.
Alright, let's head back to Carlos. An ace. The nightly roll call had just ended. All of the gates were locked. It had finally quietened down and the guards had left. I pulled a chair up to the bottom bunk and sat in front of Hotaru with a smile on my face. I need to ask you for a favor. Hotaru and I had been in the same cell for over 2 months. We were still not friends who would chat with each other, so he had to be a little surprised at what I had just said. I figured that even if he didn't want to respond, he would be curious at what I wanted. What? I'd like to play a card game with you. The whole thing began about a month ago. Ye had come to visit me in prison and warned me to get out of here as soon as I could. A prison break sure sounded cool to me, but it was an incredibly difficult task. Then I was caught by Pai while trying to hide the tools. I had no choice but to tell him everything. To my surprise, he offered to join me. What kind of luck did I have? I used to watch a movie with Ren about a prison break. In the movie, the prisoner who had been secretly... In the movie, the prisoner had been secretly digging a hole in his cell for years until he finally managed to escape on a stormy night. Would I have to do this for years too? Besides, this was not something that would get easier with more people involved. We even lived in different cells. Someone was bound to grow suspicious about him and I talking to each other during every yard time. Therefore, to succeed, the first thing I needed to do was to get Pai in the same cell as me. While Hotaru was a greedy, conniving, and disgusting weasel of a man, he had his own weaknesses. Rather, there was something about him that I could exploit. Hotaru loved card games and he was a great player. He played with the other inmates a lot, sometimes with wages of over 5 figures. He had won a lot of money in here with his special skills. Nevertheless, many people were still willing to play with him. For one single reason. He never bet any money himself. Instead, he only bet favors. If Hotaru lost, he would do one favor for the winner as long as it was within his power. Hotaru got along really well with all the guards. He had no trouble smuggling in some contraband or getting some privileges for someone. Even the guards enjoyed playing a hand or two with him every once in a while. It was always a sweet deal for Hotaru. And so it was time for me to ask him for a favor. If I could win, there was no doubt that he would agree to switch cells. I didn't have to worry about him being suspicious of my intentions or reporting it to the guards. Hotaru's only good quality was that he would always hold up his end of the deal. The only problem was that it would not be easy to win. I had never played poker when I was in Mexico. After coming to Hong Kong, I had only played a couple of times when Ren would teach me. Besides, I didn't have any money to gamble with. This wasn't my idea, it was Pai's. Pai agreed to lend me a lot of cash. He had even blackmailed some of the inmates to help train me. Soon, everybody seemed to think of me as Pai's sidekick and they began to show me more respect. A month had gone by and I was finally feeling a little confident. Win or lose, it all depended on tonight. I took out 10 1,000 Hong Kong dollar bills and counted them in front of Hotaru. He was ready to lie down, but I saw his eyes glisten. He sat back up and crossed his legs. Fine, let's have a quick game then. Blackjack. Okay. Blackjack is known as 21 points in China, which also means 9 PM in the evening. Well, this has nothing to do with poker then. Why did they train him in poker? People who have worked all day finally get their exhausted selves home and then eat dinner and walk their dogs before the night truly begins. Therefore, 9 PM is the beginning of the urban nightlife, and sometimes referred to as the golden time of a day. Across TV, radio and other traditional media, only the most prestigious programs, even commercials, are scheduled during this time slot. Of course, people who really know how to enjoy their lives might do something more meaningful, such as listen to great music and play Will a Wonderful World. The rules were simple. Both sides drew 4 cards from the pile after shuffling. The players then exchanged one card with the other. Whoever had the hand that added up closest to 21 wins the hand. That is not normal blackjack rules, but sure. An ace's value could be either 1 or 11, while jacks, queens and kings all counted as 10. If both players had the same sum, the hand was a tie and they draw a new hand. The one whose hand was closer to 21 wins half of the opponent's bet and the game continues. If the winner had a hand of exactly 21, he wins half of the opponent's stake and the game ends. Both players should put down the same bet at the beginning. And whoever had more winnings wins the whole game. While the rules made the game sound like it could go on forever, it usually ended quickly as there were numerous combinations that added up to 21. Still, I didn't expect for him to play blackjack with me, since it relied a little more on pure luck than skill. Then again, I wouldn't... Oops. Shit. Well, I hope you read that quickly. Shuffling. Drawing. I stared at my cards, fought long and hard with my heart pounding in my chest, and decided to keep these cards. 2, 3, 6. So he kept 11. An interesting strategy. Reasonable. And he gave Hotaru an 8. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Not a bad play. I wish I had this card in my hand. An ace. Why? Why would you not want queen, jack or king? The ace is... I mean, that depends. Normal blackjack rules, going over 21 means you lose. In this, I think the rules just said you had to be closest to 21. So an ace isn't bad, but then again, it's not a great card either. Why would he give away an ace? Hotaru slammed his cards on the bed. 8, ace, ace, ace. That gets him 21, exactly. Game over. Thanks. Hotaru grabbed the 5 bills, stuffed them in with his other winnings and went to sleep. Only one game. I was still sitting in my chair, stunned at my unbelievably bad luck. Would Pai's plan really work? Was there any other way? Carlos. Yeah, I can make that work. Okay. You're not giving Hotaru the 8. You are giving Hotaru. Wait, let me think. 2, 3, 8. That adds up to 13. Getting an 8 would be great. Getting an ace would be useless. On the other hand, wait. Let me think this through. He's got 4 aces. I mean, he's obviously cheating, but... oh. Interesting. I see. Okay, let's grab that ace while we're at it. That puts us up to 15, so I want a 6. What? Oh, it's an ace after all. Okay, so this doesn't actually change what card we get from him. He's got 4, obviously, he's got 4 aces. Why would it change what card we get from him? We're getting an ace either way. So what we want... wait. Jesus. We want to be on 12. No. My brain's just done. We want to be on 10. We can't be on 10 though, can we? God. Get the ace down. We want to be closer. This puts us at 11. That's fine. If Hotaru has 4 aces, what's the closest he can get to 21? He can get to... He can't get any closer than... He can't get any closer than 24, can he? He'll have to have 2 aces which count as 11, which is 22, and 2 ones. Otherwise, he'd have... Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You'll see. Otherwise, he'll have 14, which is useless. I took the card from Hotaru. It was an ace. Why would you give away an ace? Hotaru slammed the ace I had just given him on the bed. You cheated. I didn't understand what had just happened. Hotaru showed me the rest of his hand. Ace, ace, ace. Including the ace he had just given me, there were 5 aces. There had to be something wrong with the cards, but Hotaru didn't give me a chance to explain. He went straight back to bed. I absolutely hate cheaters. Go play with the others, you loser. Ah, I see. That makes sense. But... Okay. God, I wish I was... I wish it wasn't... Okay. Whatever. Let me think. If we have this, we've got 17, we'll get an ace, we'll have 18, Hotaru will have 11, 22, 25. 18 is closer than 25. Alternatively, he'd have 16, which is also... would he have 16? 15, which is also not good. Yeah, took the card from Hotaru, it was an ace. We showed our hands at the same time. Neither of us had 21, but my hand was closer. I won half of the bet from Hotaru. However, in the next hand, Hotaru hit 21. Game over. I lost. Does that mean I need to hit 21? But if I show him the ace, he'll know I've cheated. Technically, I mean, even though I didn't cheat. So I can't give him the ace. But at the same time... no, that's not possible. I can't get 10 in my hand. I'm gonna have to use the ace. But he'll still accuse me of cheating, that's not gonna change. But I'm gonna try anyway. Doesn't really matter which card I give him. I've got 21. Yep. I double-checked my hand. 3, 6, ace, ace, 21. Hunter and I slammed our cards on the bed at the same time. Game over. I looked at Hunter's hand. 8, ace, ace, ace. He had 21 too. Does he? Yeah, he does. Wait, how could there be 5 aces? I grabbed him by his collar. So that's how you've always won. You're a cheater. Hey, shut your mouth. You're the cheater. The other inmates were all woken up by your yelling, and they were now booing and cheering from their own cells. Hotaru pushed me away. Count the cards. We counted the whole deck and realized that not only was there one too many aces, it was also missing a 2. We both stripped off all of our clothes to prove our innocence. We searched through the entire cell and still couldn't find the missing 2. Hotaru suspected that someone must have messed with the cards the last time he played. In the end, we had to get a new deck and restarted the game. Unfortunately, luck was not on my side this time. That... okay. I mean, I can swap these two. Yep, we've got it. 21. Yep. He showed me his hand. 2, ace, ace, ace. Or could there be 5 aces? No, I didn't. It must be you. Don't lie to me. If you're still a man, you just own up to it. I honestly did not know where the 5th ace came from. Even though I didn't think Hotaru would do something like this, I couldn't afford to be a pushover right now. Hotaru looked a little tense. He was silent for a while and eventually squeezed out a sheesh. Fine, you won. But let me be clear, I'm not a miracle worker either. Of course. All I'm asking is for you to switch cells with Pi. Please say yes. Please say yes. I silently prayed to the Lord in my heart, and both of my hands were clenched into fists. Hotaru looked troubled this time. Sorry, I can't. No way. I collapsed into the chair and let out a disappointed sigh. I didn't expect that the plan would fail at this step. I was so close. Well, listen. I'll tell you why, but you have to promise not to tell anyone. Hotaru put away the cards and lowered his voice. Although, even if you do, I can guarantee you'll be the one to suffer. He got off the bed. Then he started pulling out the stuff that he had been piling underneath it. Then he told me to look under the bed. I lay down on my stomach and put my head to the ground. Yep, looks like we're escaping as 3 people. Wow, a huge hole. Alright.